I've been speaking to Downey a lot, especially about him making his return, which is super exciting.
He's
back.
He's gone on that exploration, and he still came back to do more.
That was a tough secret to sit on, because I have a reputation for ruining things, and I strategically have done no press.
You're a little loose-lipped around MCU secrets.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cosmic Wonder. We've been hearing a ton of news about Spider-Man 4 recently, including Tom Holland working out a new contract with Marvel Studios. We've heard some reports that perhaps Spider-Man won't be in Avengers Doomsday, but it seems like that is not the case at all. Instead, it actually comes down to the contract that Tom Holland is negotiating with Marvel Studios right now for Spider-Man 4, a movie in which the script for it has changed a lot. What was once supposed to be a pretty grounded and street-level film, picking up right after Spider-Man No Way Home left off, with Peter Parker in a crummy apartment studying to go to college, and thanks to Doctor Strange's spell, nobody would know who Peter Parker is. They would still remember Spider-Man, but not Peter Parker. And executive Amy Pascal, even not too long ago, said that Peter Parker would be basically putting Peter Parker aside and focusing primarily on being Spider-Man. There were talks of Daredevil possibly being in the film, and Kingpin possibly being the main villain, which does seem to check out because right now in Daredevil Born Again, Kingpin has become the mayor of New York City and he now has an anti-vigilante task force. So Kingpin being the main villain of Spider-Man 4 would have made sense. Daredevil showing up would have also made sense. However, as you all might know, the original script for Spider-Man 4 and the original plans have drastically changed. Now, well, it's gonna be a lot bigger, especially since it's coming after Avengers Doomsday. And the other day we covered a report that said Spider-Man might not actually be in Avengers Doomsday. That's why they didn't have a chair for him during the big Avengers Doomsday casting announcement that Marvel Studios put out in that massive live stream. And thank you to everybody who showed up for my live stream. It was one of the biggest we've ever had. And now it sounds like the change in the script isn't the only thing that's changing for Spider-Man / Tom Holland. It looks like his contract with Marvel Studios and Sony could be changing as well. In fact, we're hearing that that's why he didn't have a chair with his name on it for Avengers Doomsday, because he is still working out his contract with Marvel and Sony. And what's really interesting about this is that very recently, Tom Holland has stated that he now has more power when it comes to negotiating contracts. And that does include a new contract with Marvel Studios. He said this in an interview on the Rich Roll podcast. When I signed my first contract for the first Spider-Man, I signed a 6-picture deal. I was 18 years old. I was more excited than I'd ever been about anything ever. And for the last 10 years, I've been at the beck and call of Marvel and Sony, and proudly so. It's been the best experience of my life. I'm now at a juncture where I can say no. And now that I've been afforded the power, I am struggling to figure out what is the right thing to do. It's meant I've had to put my foot down in certain instances, which I haven't been allowed to do in the past. And I think the learning curve that I'm on right now is dealing with that new sense of power, making sure that I don't abuse it, but also making sure that I do the best thing for me rather than for the studio, and really the best thing for the character. I don't want to make another movie for the sake of making it. Then he said, the studio wants me to make another Spider-Man, and I want to make another one. I want to make many more, but I want to do it for the right reasons. I am navigating and figuring out what having that kind of power means and that responsibility. And I'm figuring it out, and I'm speaking to people and asking questions. I've been speaking to Robert Downey Jr. a lot, especially about him making his return, which is super exciting. That was a tough secret to sit on because I have a reputation for ruining things, and I strategically have done no press. Now, in this interview, he does go on to say that he's basically signed up for the next Spider-Man film, and him and Zendaya got the script for it. Now, this was a while ago, but I'm sure some of this script is still the same, especially since he knew about Robert Downey Jr.'s return as Doom. So the script that he had probably included things about Doom inside of it. Because now that Spider-Man 4 is taking place after Avengers Doomsday, that pretty much means whatever happens at the end of Doomsday is going to directly affect Spider-Man 4. And that is pretty much the reason why Spider-Man 4 is going to be a huge movie now. But despite recent reports that Tom Holland is not going to appear in Avengers Doomsday because of Spider-Man 4, it would seem that he is going to appear in Spider-Man 4, and the reason they didn't give him a chair is because they are still currently negotiating the deal for Tom Holland in Avengers Doomsday. According to the insider Daniel RBK, he says that he has confirmed Tom Holland is in talks for Doomsday. There's just no deal in place yet. And obviously Marvel Studios would want Tom Holland in the film. We already have seen that this film is set to be a massive movie. We have so many actors announced already that are going to be returning to reprise their roles, including many of the former X-Men. And right after Marvel Studios announced the Avengers Doomsday cast and that Avengers Doomsday was in production, Robert Downey Jr. hinted on Instagram that there was more to come, and Marvel Studios hinted at that as well, and basically confirmed it. Plus, not to mention The Hollywood Reporter, just an hour after the announcement for the cast, they stated that a source at Marvel told them that there are more casting announcements coming. CinemaCon starts in a few days, and we have D23, we have San Diego Comic-Con. Marvel Studios is clearly saving a lot more to announce later on down the road. And to not have Tom Holland's Spider-Man in an Avengers movie just doesn't really make sense, especially if you consider his past. He's been involved in pretty much every Avengers project that we got recently, starting with Civil War. That was basically an Avengers movie. Then of course he played a major role in Avengers Infinity War, and he had a pretty decent sized role in Avengers Endgame. And since Tom Holland said that he knew Robert Downey Jr.'s secret, that obviously means that he spoke to Robert Downey Jr., and I'm sure they talked about what they can do with Doom and Spider-Man, especially because Doom looks like his old mentor, Tony Stark. That right there is a huge story to be told, and there's just no way that Marvel Studios isn't going to explore that, and I can't see them waiting until Avengers Secret Wars to jump into that story. Because also, according to insider Alex Perez, Spider-Man is indeed going to be in the film. He's going to not want to be involved in the events that are taking place, but he is forced into it. So right now we have two insiders stating that he is in the movie, or at least working out a new contract to be in the movie, and one stating that he's not because he is supposedly going to be too wrapped up filming Spider-Man 4 because the events of Spider-Man 4 might take place at the same time of Avengers Doomsday. So we'll see what happens, but again, Tom Holland has talked about his contract with Marvel Studios, so clearly he was about to go into a new negotiation with the contract. So the news from Daniel RPK that he's working on a new contract, a new deal, does line up with what Tom Holland has said. And you know Robert Downey Jr. is going to want Tom Holland to be in Avengers Doomsday, and Spider-Man is one of the biggest faces of the MCU right now. I would be surprised if he wasn't in Avengers Doomsday. You shouldn't have an Avengers movie without Spider-Man. And Tom Holland has said that he wants to return as Spider-Man, but he wants to do it for the right reasons. Well, 2 new Avengers movies and Spider-Man 4, I would say are the right reasons. And when he's talking about the story, well, I would say having somebody return as the big bad of the MCU who looks exactly like Tony Stark, that's a pretty interesting story to return to. Plus, not to mention, everything that happened in No Way Home is probably going to play a decent sized part in what's to come in the multiverse saga, including people still not knowing who Peter Parker is. There's a big unfinished story there, and you know Tom Holland wants to finish it. So right now, rightfully so, Tom Holland is renegotiating his contract with Marvel Studios to basically just enhance it, to get what he's worth. And I think right now, as an actor, he's worth a lot. He's obviously worth a lot as a person, but for the actor who plays Spider-Man, that's a lot. So right now, I believe that he is going to be in Avengers Doomsday. We have conflicting reports, but again, 2 insiders say he's in it, 1 says no. We'll wait and see what happens, but let me know. Do you think Avengers Doomsday should have Spider-Man in the movie, or is it not necessary? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU news, rumors, or leaks. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.